some of the character pages with you all today. Now, that was a much longer intro than I meant it to be because I suck at doing intros. So let's get started on reading some of the character profiles. Okay. So I'm going to use this sword right here to trace. Okay. This is Rengoku's sword from Demon Slayer. Anyway, we're gonna start on this paragraph right here. At age 21, Cloudstrife leads the life of a mercenary for hire. As an ex-member of Shinra's elite squad known as Soldier, his fighting skills are in high demand. Cloud joins the rebel group Avalanche for their first strike against one of Shinra's huge Mako reactors that surround the city of Midgar. The storyline of Final Fantasy VII revolves around Cloud. In fact, most of the time, you are required to have him in your party because he plays a key role in most of the events in the game. Over time, Cloud proves to be a great asset because his powerful sword technique is nearly unmatched. You'll want to keep Cloud in your front line most of the time to take full advantage of his sword technique. His magic skills are solid, but don't overload him with materia. Cloud's limit breaks. Level 1. Braver. Cloud performs a leaping chop that splits a single enemy in two. Unless you're facing a really strong enemy that isn't a boss, this is usually your best level 1 limit break. The attack is stronger than the cross slash, so it usually kills weaker enemies. And then you have cross slash. With several powerful slashes, Cloud causes massive damage to a single opponent. If the enemy survives the attack, there's a chance that it may cause paralysis. It can't paralyze enemies who are normally immune to paralysis, like most bosses. Level 2. Blade Beam. Waves of energy rush from Cloud's sword and collide with the single enemy. The remaining energy then splits into smaller, weaker waves, hitting any remaining enemies. This attack is great against a large group of weaker enemies. Always target the strongest enemy in the group, because the initial wave causes about 3 times as much damage as the smaller secondary waves. And then I think that says, Clem Hazard. I'm just going to assume that's how you pronounce that. Cloud skewers a single enemy and then leaps high into the sky to cause greater damage. This is the best used against a single opponent or any really strong opponents you encounter. Eventually, the Blade Beam attack will become ineffective, but the Clem Hazard attack should be useful throughout most of the game. And then we have level 3. Meteor Rain. While leaping into the air, Cloud unleashes a barrage of meteors upon a group of foes, causing up to 4 separate hits. This is actually the best used against a single enemy, unless the targeted group is fairly weak. Used against one opponent, this attack can cause as much as 12,000 points of damage. And then, Finishing Touch. Cloud creates a large whirlwind that sucks the group of opponents into oblivion, which causes them to either immediately perish or suffer extensive damage from falling back to the ground. Most opponents will simply perish, but larger creatures like bosses will always fall back to the ground. Save this limit break for groups. It's completely wasted on a single enemy. And then we have Omni Slash, and I think that is one of the good ones. We have Cloud assaults his opponent with a long series of powerful sword attacks. This can be used against a single opponent or group. Either way, this is an extremely powerful attack. With the correct sword in hand, this attack can actually cause just as much, if not more, damage than the fabled Knights of the Round materia. And then we flip the page. We have Barrett Wallace, and then his game art right here. Barrett is the 35-year-old leader of the rebel team best to stop Shinra's Mako reactors and save the life of the planet. Although he is truly devoted to the team, Barrett often regrets having to leave his young daughter Marlene alone or in the care of others. Barrett's motives are unclear, but most believe that Shinra was somehow responsible for the death of his wife. Although he may not look it, Barrett is one of the most versatile characters in the game. Unlike most, he has weapons for close and long-range combat, which enables him to perform well in either rank. You want to keep Barrett in the back rank most of the time. This enables him to cause heavy damage without taking an equal amount in return. Avoid loading Barrett up with materia that reduces his hit points and strength. You may want to use him as a damage magnet later, and if so, he will need to be as strong as possible. Barrett's limit breaks. Level 1. Big Shot. Barrett fires a large ball of energy from his gun, which causes massive damage to his opponent. For the first portion of the game, the Big Shot should come in really handy, but it quickly becomes obsolete as your enemies increase in strength. Mind Blow. Barrett fires a large ball of blue energy from his gun, which depletes his opponent's magic points. Such attacks often go unappreciated, but the Mind Blow can turn a fierce magic user into a helpless wimp. I love the way they worded that. Okay. Level 2. Grenade Bomb. Targeting an entire group of enemies, Barrett launches a deadly grenade into the enemy ranks. This is typically the level 2 limit break of choice. It causes a decent amount of damage to entire groups of enemies. Hammer Blow. Barrett's powerful punch sends an enemy into orbit. Barrett can completely remove an enemy from combat with the Hammer Blow, but the attack is best used against individual non-boss monsters. The Hammer Blow doesn't cause any direct damage, so it's worthless against boss creatures. Level 3. Satellite Beam. Proving he has friends in high places, Barrett calls for the ultimate airstrike against a group of enemies. The beam hit for about 3,000 to 4,000 points of damage on each creature. Although this attack is great against a group of enemies, it is considerably less effective against a lone attacker. Ungarmax. I actually have no idea how to pronounce that. I think it's Ungarmax or Ungarmax. I have no idea. Anyway, I'm probably butchering that like very much. So, lock and load. Barrett dumps a large amount of ammunition into a group of enemies, causing massive damage. The Ungarmax, I don't even know, oh my god, hits more times than the satellite beam, but the hits are weaker. And then you have the final level, level 4, Catastrophe. Barrett uses his gun arm to hover over a group of enemies, and then burns them to a crisp with superheated plasma blast. As you might expect, this is the best of Barrett's limit breaks. It works well against a group or a single enemy. It does have one downside. Because the attack isn't focused, a single enemy won't feel the full force of the blow. Alright, and then we flip the page. And now we have Tifa Lockhart. Tifa and Cloud were always childhood friends, but parted ways when Cloud left his hometown of Nibelheim to join Soldier. When her parents died, Tifa also left Nibelheim and headed for Midgar. Soon after opening her bar, Tifa's his seventh heaven, she met Barrett and joined his ragtag group of rebels known as Avalanche. It's our goal to make sure Cloud remains with Avalanche after his first mission with the team. When fighting, Tifa lets her fists do the talking. Her attacks are generally weaker than Cloud's and Barrett's, but from early on, her chain of limit breaks is by far the best thing going. Instead of selecting a single limit break, each new attack adds to the chain for a total of 7 devastating hits. No. If she can score, on the twirling slots. She causes Tifa's limit breaks. Level 1. Beat Rush. Tifa unleashes a quick combo against a single enemy for the first part of her limit break combo. Somersault. Tifa punishes a single opponent and shows off a little with this flipping kick. Some somersault tacks onto another hit to her limit break combo. Level 2. Water Kick. The third part of Tifa's combo is quick elemental wave of water that washes over an opponent. Meteor Drive. Anyway, Tifa shows off her brute force by picking up her opponent and delivering a quick backdrop. Level 3. Dolphin Blow. Tifa calls on her fishy friend for this watery uppercut. Attacks on hit number 5. Meteor Strike. After grabbing her opponent, Tifa jumps into the heavens before slamming down her opponent hard. Oh wow, she jumps into the heavens, wow. Level 4. Final Heaven. Focusing her energies into her fist, Tifa hits the enemy with the force of a nuclear explosion. And then flip the page. Oh yay, I love Aerith. Except in the game, they call her Ares, but I'm going to be referring to her as Aerith because that is her actual name. So, Aerith Gainsborough, a beautiful 22-year-old. Aerith is a bright spot in the middle of a dark, dreary town. While selling flowers near Avalanche's first target, Aerith's life was forever altered after a chance meeting with Cloud. Because of her mysterious background, Shinra has pursued her for most of her life. Now she must fight against those who would enslave her and destroy what she holds most dear. Aerith is the closest character Final Fantasy VII has to a dedicated magic user. Her physical attacks are fairly weak, but she possesses great skill with materia and its various forms. Due to this odd balance, you should put her in your backline and hold her down with materia. Let Aerith devote her energies to spellcasting while her teammates can concentrate in inflicting physical damage. This also takes advantage of her defensive-based limit break. Okay, so a quick little FF7 spoiler. You shouldn't waste a whole lot of time trying to level up Aerith because, like, halfway through the game, she dies anyway. So there's actually not much point because you can't use her after that point. But when you do have her, this guide is very, very helpful. So, Aerith's limit breaks. Level 1. Healing Wind. Aerith restores the party's lost hit points with this heavenly breeze. Healing Wind. Aerith restores the party's lost hit points with this heavenly breeze. Seal Evil. Aerith casts a mystic spell on a group of enemies, causing them all to stop and become silenced. Level 2. Breath of the Earth. Magical beams of light cure the party of any existing negative statuses. Fury Brand. Sacrificing her own limit attack, Aerith blasts the party with a holy power which instantly fills each of her allies' limit gauges. Level 3. Planet Protector. Aerith forms a protective barrier around the party that makes them temporarily invulnerable. Pulse of Life. With a quick word of prayer, Aerith completely cures the party of any ailments and restores any lost hit points or magic points. Level 4. Great Gospel. Aerith summons the heavenly host and the party is fully recovered and made temporarily invulnerable. And flip the page. Now, I think that's 13. I'm not good with my Roman numerals. The only reason I know it's that FF7 is FF7 is because I looked it up. Anyway, Red 13. Correct me if I'm wrong, please, in the comments. Although his fiery red fur may make him look like a wild animal, Red 13's intellect is well above that of most humans. Not much is known about Red 13's origin. He's currently being held captive in Shinra's headquarters, where he's forced to participate in their twisted experiments. Red 13 is strong at both physical and magical combat. His sharp teeth and claws work well with his limits his combat options and forces him to take a spot on the front line. There is a long range weapon for Red 13, but it lacks materia slots and forces him to act as a fighter. Red 13 makes a solid magic user when loaded down with materia, but performs best with a more balanced approach. It's best to always take advantage of his physical strength as well as his startling intellect. And then we have Red 13's limit breaks. Level 1, Sled Fang. Red 13 charges through an opponent, causing a large amount of physical damage. For a while, this may be the only long-range attack Red 13 has, so it's sure to come in handy. However, it'll become obsolete by the time you receive Blood Fang. Lunatic High. A glowing light covers the party, and haste is cast on everyone. Until you've purchased the time materia, the Lunatic High should come in handy during major battles. Level 2, Blood Fang. Red 13 charges through an opponent, causing more physical damage than Sled Fang attack. He also gains a small amount of hit points and magic points. This attack isn't much different from Sled Fang attack, but it's nice for eliminating an opponent and boosting Red 13's magic points. Stardust Ray. That's a cool name, I like that. Red 13. That says Red 12. I think that means Red 13, but it says Red 12. Red 12's Howl summons a cluster of falling stars, which causes severe damage to groups of enemies, unless you need the magic point boost. Stick with the Stardust Ray during fights. It inflicts considerably more damage to a group or a single enemy than the Blood Fang. Level 3, Howling Moon. The full moon drives Red 13 into a rage, casting Berserk and Haste on him for the remainder of the battle. This attack has some obvious advantages and disadvantages. Using this attack, Red 13 can attack quickly, but he can no longer aid the party with magic or any kind of special attack. And then Earth Rave. Red 13 attacks a group of enemies with a series of 5 elemental attacks. In the end, the Earth Rave will prove to be more beneficial than the Howling Moon. It does a large amount of direct damage without committing Red X to a single attack pattern. And then we have level 4, Cosmo Memory. Red 13 summons a huge ball of fire which explodes, engulfing his opponents in a huge ray of superheated plasma. And then we turn the page. Sid Highwind. Sid is an expert pilot and mechanic who dreams of one day becoming the first man in space. His dream would have been fulfilled, but he aborted a launch in order to save the life of one of his crew. Now he spends his time trying to repair his inoperable rocket in the hopes that Shinra may one day reinstate its space program, giving him another chance of fulfilling his dream. With his lance in hand, Sid is always prepared for battle. His fighting skills are top-notch and come in handy throughout most of the game. His limit breaks are very helpful when fighting the evil hordes that threaten to consume the land. You'll notice that they all cause direct damage rather than affecting status or healing the party. Sid's statistics are very average all the way around, which can help or hinder his performance depending on how he is equipped. Sid's limit breaks. Level 1, Boost to Jump. Sid vaults into the air and crashes down on a single opponent's head. This is a straightforward attack that's your best bet for killing a single enemy early on. Dynamite. Sid produces a large stick of dynamite that he hurls into a group of enemies. Once Sid learns the dynamite limit break, it's unlikely you'll ever use the boost jump again. It causes a fair amount of damage to each monster in the group, but the effect isn't cumulative, like Big Brawl or Dungeon Dive. And then, level 2, Hyper Jump. Sid leaps into the air and drives his weapon deep into the ground, causing a huge blue explosion that damages the entire group of enemies. This is basically a more powerful version of the dynamite limit break. It's great against a group, but loses something against individual opponents. Sid summons a dragon to attack one of his enemies. The dragon injures the victim and transfers the hit points and magic points back into Sid. This is the best level to attack against a single creature. It is also effective when Sid needs a small boost to his magic points. The health points boost is insignificant. So, level 3, Dragon Dive. Sid repeatedly pounces on a group of opponents. Each attack creates a large explosion that causes heavy damage to a single opponent. The Dragon Dive is the stronger of the 2 level 3 limit breaks, but it connects against the enemy fewer times. And then Big Brawl. Sid shows off his fighting skills by leaping into a group of enemies and crushing them with a series of blazing fast attacks. The Big Brawl hits for less each time, but it hits more times than the Dragon Dive. It's difficult to say which attack is better. And then level 4, High Wind. Sid calls on the High Wind for assistance. The ship's crew answers by unleashing a huge salvo against the opposition. This is a great attack against a single enemy or a huge group. Each missile causes several thousand damage points to most enemies, plus the total damage is cumulative. Okay. And then we have... I'm gonna stop at Yuffie. Or, once we're done talking about Yuffie. And then maybe we'll continue with this kind of thing, like in another video. Yuffie... Oh no. Kisaragi. I don't know. The 16-year-old ninja spent most of her time preying on helpless travelers until she met up with the Clouds party. Although she is reluctant to join Avalanche, her ulterior motives gives her a reason to tag along, if only temporarily. Her clever wit and ninja skills coupled with her selfish ways will either make her a powerful ally or a serious pain in the neck. Yuffie isn't one of the strongest team members, but her limit breaks are powerful. Her weapons enable her to attack from the distance without penalty, keep her in the back rank, and outfit her with plenty of materia. Although this tactic will lower her hit points, her position in the back rank should keep her safe. Yuffie's limit breaks. Level 1, Greased Lightning. Yuffie hits a single opponent with a quick attack that causes massive physical damage. Greased Lightning does enough damage to eliminate weaker opponents, but it's well outdated by the time you receive the first of Yuffie's level 2 limit breaks. Clear Tranquil. A blue orb surrounds each party member and restores a small portion of the character's hit points. Early on, this limit break is helpful for curing your allies, but the amount of damage enemies cause, plus the party's increased hit points, will soon be too much for Clear Tranquil to be effective. Level 2, Landscraper. Level 2, Landscaper. Yuffie causes a large tremor that forces the ground beneath a group of opponents to rise and explode, which causes massive damage to her enemies. Use this limit break solely against groups or enemies. The damage isn't cumulative, so its effect is drastically reduced against the lone enemy. Bloodfest. Yuffie attacks a group of enemies with a series of 10 deadly blows.